is the Bimota Tesi H2. This is number 6 out of 250. In this video, I'm going to be sharing with you why this bike is super special and super exclusive. And not only that, I'm going to be comparing it with my Kawasaki Ninja H2. So let me tell you what makes this bike super special and super exclusive. It's the love child of Kawasaki and Bimota. Kawasaki and Bimota have come together to produce this unbelievable bike. So before we talk about the aesthetics of the Tesi H2, let's have a look at the insane hub center steering. This is not seen on many bikes, and I've ridden one other bike with that feature where you have hub center steering and you have the front swing arm. Having that mechanism means that the suspension system, the braking system and the steering system are completely independent of each other. This system means that there is no diving on the front wheel when you're braking, which means that you can actually brake later into corners, and it allows you to trail brake in corners. As you can see, the chassis, the front swing arm and the rear swing arm are made of billet aluminium, and it's made of one-piece billet aluminium, and hence you can't see any welding on the bike. One of the first things that you notice about the Tesi H2 when you look at it is the humongous wings on each side of the bike and the bulky front. And I think when you look at it, you think it's so extreme, but you ride the bike and you know exactly why they're there and why the front of the bike is designed the way that it's designed. The bike is finished off with a full system titanium Arrow exhaust system. Listen to this. One of the cool features on the Tesi H2 is that it has carbon handlebars, and guys, I don't think I've ever seen a bike with carbon handlebars. Tesi H2 comes with forged Oz wheels, providing much better handling and much lighter front. The bike has adjustable TTX owner suspension, and the shocks are actually placed at the rear of the bike here on top of the rear swing arm. So mechanically speaking, what does this bike offer the buyer? Well, this bike has 240 brake horsepower as standard. It's got 142 Nm of torque, and it weighs only 207 dry weight and 214 kgs wet weight. Engine is a H2 engine. It's an inline-4 supercharged Kawasaki H2 engine.
So now that we know all the figures, facts and features on this bike, let's take it out for a blast and find out how it handles and how it corners. So how does it handle with less weight, with a chassis design, with the new Tesi front end, the hub center steering and its interesting suspension setup? Let's have a look at the advantages of having all of those things combined on the bike. With conventional forks, they are involved in so many ways when you're riding the bike. When braking, the forks use a great amount of strength to deal with the braking forces, with the steering forces, and absorbing bumps. Coping with this will consequently change the wheelbase and the geometry of the bike. With a Tesi hub center steering, you are left with unaffected geometry by either accelerating or braking, simply because the three functions of steering, braking and suspension are completely independent of one another, so there is no dive or change in the geometry like you get with a conventional forks. I really enjoyed playing with the advantages of being able to brake late, and yes, it's a weird feeling at first as the bike stays in its place firmly and there's no movement at the rear and no diving at the front. One way to describe the Tesi when you're braking into corners is stability. The system is genius and makes so much sense. However, it feels so different when you brake and accelerate, when there's no movement, and the handlebars feel isolated from everything, and you're not getting that same feeling that you would on conventional forks. It takes time to get used to it and build the confidence to take advantage of its clever design. The bodywork and wings look extreme for a reason. The aerodynamics of the bike makes it an extremely plush, wind-resistant ride at high speeds, with the huge wings providing downforce of 11 kgs. The Tesi H2 uses the same rider aids as the Ninja H2, but they were recalibrated to accommodate for the weight difference, which is around 20 odd kgs. The two Onan shocks above the swing arm independently control both wheels. So how does it feel riding a lighter version of the H2 with even more brake horsepower stock? Well, imagine fiercely fast acceleration combined with addictive power delivery, and on top of that, you get an insane prominent chirp of the supercharger. There's literally nothing on the road like it. Because of the lighter weight, because of the forged Oz wheels, because of the carbon tank and carbon handlebars, the Tesi H2 feels nimbler, lighter and sharper, and you don't feel like you're manhandling it into corners. And judging by the looks, you may think that it would be hard work around corners, but it really surprised me in how well it handled and how agile it was. Less weight, more brake horsepower only means one thing: insane power to weight ratio, incomparable to most things you see on the market. And I thought it could not get any better than the H2. Well, the Bimota Tesi H2 proved me wrong. There is so much more that the Tesi H2 offers that the Ninja H2 doesn't. And I'm going to go into this later in the video.
Sharing the same engine as the Kawasaki H2, how does this Bimota Tesi H2 compare to the Kawasaki Ninja H2? Let's start with the numbers. This has 240 brake horsepower as standard, whereas the H2 comes with 210 as standard. One of the first things that I noticed riding both is that the H2 feels much heavier than the Tesi H2. They weigh 240 kgs as opposed to 214 kgs. This makes sense as the Tesi H2 doesn't come with a frame as such, and it comes with forged wheels unlike the Kawasaki H2, and it also comes with carbon everything as standard. I think the Tesi H2 provides something that the H2 doesn't in terms of being best of both worlds. So you have the premium, luxurious, exclusive styling of the Italian Bimota, and then you have the performance and the savageness of the Kawasaki H2 supercharged engine. Not only that, I think performance-wise, the Tesi H2 provides something that the H2 doesn't in terms of agility, in terms of handling around corners, due to the shorter wheelbase, due to the lighter weight, and due to the lighter front. You've got carbon handlebars, you've got carbon bodywork, and then you've got the Billet aluminium front swing arm. So all in all, I think the Tesi H2 provides something that the H2 doesn't, but they also share a lot of characteristics and similarities. Aesthetically speaking, the bikes in a way resemble each other in terms of the bulkiness, in terms of the wings. Of course, the H2 has the conventional forks as the front suspension as opposed to the front swing arm and the hub center steering on the Tesi H2.
So what are the pros and cons of the Tesi H2? It's super exclusive and super exotic. There's only 250 made worldwide. It's a unique partnership between Bimota and Kawasaki, and it has one of the fastest engines in the world, and it's got the sexy Italian styling, chassis and bodywork. It's super luxurious, it's high quality, it's premium, and the front and rear swing arms are made of one-piece billet aluminium. It has a carbon tank, it has carbon handlebars, carbon body, carbon wings, forged wheels. It's painted by hand, and it's just a true work of art and craftsmanship. So there's no other bike that, in my opinion, can compete with the Tesi H2. It's light, it's nimble, it's sharp, it's got extreme stability around corners and extreme stability when accelerating or braking. It has unbelievable stopping power, and one of the great things about this bike is that the ride height can be adjusted without meddling with the geometry of the bike. Cons. These are all great things. What are the cons of this £60,000 rocket? Well, it's got a high price tag at 60k, but you do get 1 out of 250 worldwide, so it's super special and super exclusive. And not only that, I think in comparison to similar exotic bikes that may be rivals to the Tesi H2, such as the supercharger, such as the HP4 Race, you're talking about 70k and 90k for the supercharger. And I just think 60k, you are getting your money's worth, and you're getting more than your money's worth. Not only are you getting one of the fastest production bikes ever, but you're getting a lot of exclusivity, and you're getting a lot for your money. So that can be a con, but it's completely justifiable, I think, if that's the kind of bike that you're opting for. One of the cons I found is that the hub center steering takes a little bit of time to get used to, but when it clicks, it all makes sense. It took me some time to get used to the feeling when you're going round a roundabout, or when you're at a junction, or when you're doing a slow maneuver. It feels different to what we're used to on conventional forks. So that did take a little bit of time to get used to. I also found it a little bit snappy and harsher to ride at slow speeds and slow maneuvers. It's also very thirsty, so it claims to have 38 miles per gallon, but it was more like 25 miles per gallon. But what do you really expect from a supercharged rocket that weighs practically nothing? And it's worth every penny. As they say, smiles per miles. I did find myself filling up quite often at the petrol station, so that's one thing to bear in mind. Its bold is outrageous, and it's an unbelievable machine with extraordinary engineering and craftsmanship. What I love about the Tesi H2 is that it has a combination of one of the world's most powerful engines and Bimota's own chassis and styling. The Tesi H2 is so different from anything out there. Even compared to its potential competitors, as I mentioned, it's very much still in its own genre. And it's like Marmite, I think. I'm a massive fan of that extreme bulky look, especially when combined with the gorgeous, sleek Italian styling and finish. It's just such a unique and distinctive combination. The engine is one of the best engines out there, in my opinion, especially that Bimota housed it in a very unique chassis, which resulted in a very unique and exclusive machine. Having owned the H2 for 6 years, I felt that the Tesi H2 gave me something that the H2 doesn't, and it felt like my H2 but on steroids. Granted, my H2 has higher power figures because it's been remapped, but The lighter Tesi H2 combined with its chassis and steering system, it just felt more extreme. It feels nimbler, it feels sharper and lighter, and you're not constantly fighting it into corners as you would be on the Ninja H2. And this is where the Tesi H2 wins for me. Despite how differently engineered it is, it's an absolute joy to ride.
If you are thinking about investing in a luxurious, premium, exclusive bike and money is not an object, I would opt for the Tesi H2 just because I feel like the bike is more agile, the bike is rarer. I mean, this is number 6 out of 250 in the entire world. I think they've made 4 SB models as well. If you are looking for that special wow factor on a bike that ticks a lot of boxes and money is not an object, I think the Tesi H2 is such a good option. This is not this, that. I'm going to talk. No. Don't know, I lost my train of thought. I'm going to stand here. The front is important. Okay. Do you want coffee? Let's take a break, because I need a break.